what if the key to navigating life's chaos lies not in rushing but in pausing? Welcome back to Stoic Way, where we explore timeless wisdom to help you thrive in today's fast-paced world. In this video, we dive deep into the transformative practice of the Stoic art of delay. Discover how embracing patience and reflection can empower you to make wiser decisions, cultivate resilience, and unlock a profound sense of calm. Whether you're new to Stoicism or a seasoned practitioner, this journey will equip you with practical tools to navigate life's challenges with grace and clarity. 1. The power of delay. The Stoic art of delay is more than just a philosophical concept. It's a life-changing practice that teaches us to pause, reflect, and act with intention. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, this ancient wisdom offers a refreshing antidote. By embracing delay, we avoid impulsive reactions, nurture patience, and gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Imagine a life where every decision is made with clarity and purpose. The Stoics believe that delaying our responses allows us to step back from the chaos, assess situations objectively, and choose actions aligned with our values. This simple yet profound practice can transform how we interact with others, handle stress, and pursue our goals. 2. Examples from Stoic philosophers. To truly grasp the power of delay, let's turn to the teachings of two influential Stoic philosophers, Seneca and Marcus Aurelius. Seneca, a towering figure in Stoic philosophy, emphasized the importance of delaying reactions to gain perspective. He argued that hasty decisions often lead to regret, while thoughtful deliberation paves the way for wisdom. By pausing before responding, we create space to evaluate our emotions and consider the long-term consequences of our actions. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, practiced the art of delay to maintain his composure amidst the pressures of leadership. As a ruler, he faced countless challenges, yet his commitment to reflection and patience allowed him to remain focused on his duties. His writings and meditations remind us that even in the most demanding situations, a moment of pause can restore balance and clarity. 3. Practical tips for embracing delay. Ready to incorporate the Stoic art of delay into your daily life? Here are 3 actionable strategies to get started. Pause before responding. When confronted with a challenging situation, resist the urge to react immediately. Take a deep breath, count to 10, and allow yourself a moment to process. This simple act can prevent impulsive decisions and foster calmness. Reflect on your emotions. Acknowledge your feelings without judgment. Ask yourself, what triggered this emotion? How might my reaction impact others? By examining your emotions, you gain insight into your thought patterns and can choose responses that align with your values. Seek wisdom from others. Consult trusted friends, mentors, or even philosophical texts for guidance. Sometimes, an outside perspective can illuminate blind spots and offer alternative solutions you may not have considered. These practices are not about avoiding action, but about ensuring that your actions are deliberate, thoughtful, and aligned with your long-term goals. 4. The benefits of delay. By embracing the Stoic art of delay, you'll experience a profound shift in your mindset and behavior. You'll notice a newfound sense of calm and clarity, enabling you to navigate life's challenges with resilience and grace. Instead of being swept away by emotions, you'll learn to observe them, understand their roots, and respond with wisdom. This practice also enhances your decision-making abilities. By taking the time to reflect, you'll make choices that are not only rational, but also deeply aligned with your values and aspirations. Over time, this leads to greater fulfillment and a stronger sense of purpose. Moreover, the Stoic art of delay fosters emotional intelligence and mindfulness. As you become more attuned to your thoughts and feelings, you'll develop healthier relationships, communicate more effectively, and cultivate a deeper connection with the world around you. In summary, the Stoic art of delay is a powerful tool for personal growth and resilience. By pausing, reflecting, and acting with intention, You can navigate life's complexities with wisdom and grace. This practice not only enhances your decision-making abilities, but also cultivates inner peace and emotional control. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your experiences with the Stoic art of delay in the comments below. Have you noticed a difference in your mindset or behavior? Let's start a conversation and learn from each other. Don't forget to subscribe to Stoic Way for more insights into ancient wisdom and its application in modern life. Stay tuned for an exciting discussion between our special guests, Emma and Liam, who will delve deeper into the practical applications of Stoicism in today's world. Their conversation promises to be both enlightening and inspiring, so stick around to gain even more valuable insights. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, stay resilient, keep growing, and embrace the art of delay.
All right, so today we're diving into something that might seem a little counterintuitive at first glance.
Yeah.
Especially in our, fast-paced world we live in now.
Yeah, in our go world.
It's called the Stoic Art of Delay, and basically we're going to explore how instead of constantly reacting to everything,
Right.
we can actually gain more control and make better choices by hitting the pause button a little bit.
I love that.
So our guide for this deep dive is a fascinating piece I found from Stoic Way.
Okay, cool.
And we're going to unpack this whole concept of delay and see what it's all about.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
what do you think when you hear that phrase, the Stoic Art of Delay?
Oh, that's
What
yeah.
comes to mind for you?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that Stoic Way really tries to hammer home in that article is that it's not about procrastination.
Okay, yeah, that's a good distinction.
Right off the bat, they're like, this is not about procrastination.
Because it's easy to hear delay and think oh, I'm just going to put things off.
Totally. I'm going to be lazy.
How do they differentiate that? What's the difference between procrastination and this thoughtful action they're talking about?
I think it comes down to the motivation behind it. Procrastination is driven by avoidance, whether it's fear or laziness or just not wanting to deal with something.
Right.
But this Stoic idea of delay, it's about choosing the right action at the right time. And that sometimes means taking a beat, stepping back.
It's almost like you're creating that space for intentionality rather than just kind of going with the flow.
Yeah, exactly. And like you were saying, I love that phrase, hitting the pause button.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all about, creating that space to step back from the initial impulse, from that knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
And actually asking yourself, okay, what is the best course of action here? What is going to lead to the best outcome?
Yeah.
It's not just what do I feel like doing right now?
You're not just ruled by that initial emotional response. You're taking a moment to kind of tap into something a little bit deeper, a little bit wiser.
Yeah, totally.
Now, this is all well and good in theory.
Right.
But I think in practice, it can be a little tricky.
Oh, for sure.
Because we live in a world where we're constantly bombarded with information, with demands, with decisions to make. How do we actually apply this art of delay when it feels like everything's coming at us all at once?
I think that's exactly the problem that Stoic Way is trying to address in that article.
Okay.
They're saying, this constant stimulation makes it really hard to figure out what we truly want. Let alone how to achieve it. We're just reacting to everything, but are we really choosing anything?
Right. It's like we're on autopilot.
Totally on autopilot, yeah.
And the Stoics are saying, hey, slow down, get some perspective, understand yourself, your emotions, your motivations, before you jump into action.
Yes.
So it's about becoming more self-aware, I guess.
Yeah, more in tune with our inner landscape.
Yeah.
And Stoic Way. They use this really powerful image to try to illustrate this idea. They say, imagine living a life where every decision, big or small, is made with that kind of clarity and purpose.
Right.
I mean, that's powerful.
It's a pretty compelling vision, I think. Now they bring in some big names from Stoicism to kind of illustrate this idea, Seneca and Marcus Aurelius. And I'm curious, how do their examples connect to this idea of delay?
Well, Seneca, he was all about not letting our emotions just totally run the show.
Okay.
He believed that those knee-jerk reactions, that we have,
right.
the ones that are fueled purely by anger or fear or excitement, they almost always lead to regret.
Interesting.
So he was a big advocate for stepping back, cooling off.
So that space...
And then choosing a course of action.
That pause is essential for wise decision-making.
It is. It's essential. And what's interesting...
He wasn't just like some armchair philosopher.
Yeah.
Like he was
a busy guy.
A high-ranking advisor.
Yeah, he was right there in the Roman Empire.
The Roman Empire.
Dealing with all that political intrigue, all the power struggles.
Navigating all of that.
And even he saw the value in delay. So
that's a great point.
Yeah.
It's like he's living proof that this isn't just some lofty ideal.
It's a real practical tool.
It's actually a tool you can use.
Yeah. For navigating a complex world.
In the real world.
Exactly.
And then there's Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor himself.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about pressure.
Talk about pressure.
How did he use this idea of delay?
Well, I mean,
with the weight of an empire on his shoulders.
I know.
Constant decisions, battles, crises.
He's got a lot going on.
I mean, that's...
to manage.
Yeah,
so Stoic Way actually points out
okay.
that he used this principle of delay to maintain his composure, to make those really strategic decisions, even in the middle of chaos.
So it was like a way to stay grounded.
Exactly.
Amidst all that craziness.
Yeah, to avoid being swept away by all those events,
It's like finding that still point in the middle of the storm.
By the hurricane.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Stoic Way doesn't just leave us hanging with these examples.
Right.
They actually give us some really practical tips.
They do.
Things that we can actually do to cultivate this art of delay in our own lives.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about those.
So in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of how we can actually put this into practice.
Awesome.
But before we go there, I'm curious, from what we've discussed so far, what stands out to you? What's resonating with your experience?
Well, I think what's really standing out to me is that this is not just some esoteric philosophy.
Right.
This is actually a practical toolkit that we can use to navigate the challenges of modern life.
It's like a way of being in the world that
Exactly.
can lead to more peace, more clarity, more resilience.
I love it.
So that's what we're going to explore further in the next part of our deep dive.
Awesome. I can't wait.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about this Stoic art of delay and how it's not about being passive or avoiding decisions altogether. It's about choosing the right time, the right action.
Right.
But how do we actually do that?
Yeah, that's the big question.
How do we move from, these kind of lofty Stoic ideals to actually putting this into practice?
In our real life.
In our everyday lives.
Yeah.
Stoic Way does offer some specific strategies, right?
They do, yeah. They actually give us 3 core practices that we can use to cultivate more intentionality in our lives.
I like it. Let's hear it. What are they?
Okay, so the first one is pausing before responding.
Okay.
The second one is reflecting on our emotions.
All right.
And the third one is seeking wisdom from others.
Okay, so 3 very distinct, but I imagine interconnected practices.
Yes, definitely.
Let's break them down one by one.
Okay, sounds good.
First up, pausing before responding.
Yeah.
Seems straightforward enough.
Right.
But in a world where we're expected to be constantly connected, always on, instantly responsive.
Yeah.
Isn't there a risk of overthinking things? How do we know when we've paused enough?
That's a great question. And I think it gets at a common misconception about this practice.
Okay.
The pause isn't about getting stuck in analysis paralysis.
Right.
It's not about overthinking everything.
It's not about procrastination.
Exactly. Yeah. It's more about just creating a small gap, a breathing space between the stimulus and your reaction.
So it could be something as simple as taking a few deep breaths before responding to that email. Or counting to 10 before you jump into that, heated conversation.
Exactly.
It's about disrupting that autopilot response that we all have.
That we all do.
And actually becoming aware of what's driving our actions.
It's becoming conscious of those motivations.
Now, what about those situations where a quick decision is needed? In a fast-paced work environment or a crisis situation?
Even in those situations, I think that micropause can be so valuable.
Okay.
Think of it like a mental reset.
Okay.
A way to just gather your thoughts, assess the situation clearly.
So you're not just reacting.
Before you take action.
Purely on instinct.
Exactly. Yeah. Even if it's just for like a split second.
Okay.
It can make a world of difference.
Interesting.
Between a reactive choice and a considered one.
All right. I like that.
Yeah.
So we've paused, we've taken a breath.
Right.
We've created some space.
Okay.
What's next?
So the next step is reflecting on our emotions.
Okay, this one feels a little trickier to me.
Yeah.
How do we actually do that? How do we reflect on our emotions?
Well, I think it starts with shifting from simply experiencing emotions to actually observing them.
Okay.
So instead of being totally swept away by that wave of, anger, frustration, anxiety, whatever it is,
right,
we become curious about those feelings. We ask ourselves, like, what's triggering this? What's the story I'm telling myself about this situation?
So it's about becoming aware of the thoughts and beliefs that are fueling those emotions.
That are underneath the surface.
It's like we're going a layer deeper.
Yeah, and oftentimes, when we actually shine a light on those thoughts, we realize they're based on assumptions or interpretation.
Oh, interesting.
That might not even be true.
Okay.
And then that awareness gives us the freedom to choose a different response.
So it's like we're taking back control from those knee-jerk emotional reactions.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. What about the third practice, seeking wisdom from others?
Oh, yeah.
Does this mean we need to go find like a Stoic sage on a mountaintop?
I wish.
I mean, that would be great.
That would be cool.
But not very practical for most of us.
Yeah, not so practical, no. But
so what does this actually look like?
It's more about recognizing that we don't have all the answers. And sometimes talking to a trusted friend or mentor or maybe even a therapist can give us like invaluable perspective.
So it's like getting outside of our own heads.
Totally, because we can get so stuck in our own perspective.
A different viewpoint.
Right, and they can help us see the situation from a different angle, challenge our assumptions, offer insights that we might not have even considered on our own.
And this requires a certain level of humility, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely.
A willingness to admit that we don't have it all figured out.
Yeah, that we need help sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's where, the Stoic emphasis on self-awareness really comes into play.
Okay.
The more we understand our own biases and limitations, the more open we'll be to seeking out that wisdom from others.
It's like that saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so we've got these three practices.
Okay.
Pausing before responding.
Yes.
Reflecting on our emotions. And seeking wisdom from others.
Okay.
These seem like valuable tools on their own.
They are.
But Stoic Way argues that they lead to even greater benefits.
Yes, they do.
Right.
It's not just about making better decisions in the moment.
Oh, okay.
It's about cultivating a whole different way of being in the world.
Ooh, I like that. I'm curious to hear more about that.
Yeah.
What kind of transformation are we talking about here?
Well, they talk about a greater sense of calm, clarity, resilience, even emotional intelligence.
So it's about moving from that reactive state to a more responsive state where we're not just constantly being tossed around by life circumstances.
We feel more grounded.
But we're actually feeling more grounded.
More centered.
More centered.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty amazing.
It is pretty amazing.
Especially in a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming.
Totally.
But how exactly do these practices lead to those outcomes?
Well, let's think about it this way. When we pause before reacting, we create space for clearer thinking.
Okay.
We're not just caught up in that whirlwind of emotions and impulses. And that calmness allows us to assess situations more objectively.
So it's like we're creating a buffer zone between the external chaos and our internal state.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
And that buffer zone allows us to cultivate clarity. We're not just reacting to whatever comes our way.
Right.
We're responding with intention and purpose.
Okay. I'm seeing how that sense of calm and clarity can emerge from these practices. But what about resilience?
Right.
How does that fit into the picture?
Well, imagine you're facing a challenge.
Okay.
A setback at work.
Yeah.
A conflict in a relationship, or even just a bad day.
Right. We all have those.
We all have those. And exactly. And if you're constantly reacting from a place of, fear or anger or frustration, you're more likely to just be completely thrown off course. But if you've cultivated that ability to pause, to reflect on your emotions, to seek wise counsel.
You'll tap into those practices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You'll be much better equipped to navigate those difficulties with grace and composure.
So it's like building that inner strength,
Yes.
that capacity to weather the storms of life without being completely swept away.
That's resilience.
Okay. And Stoic way also mentioned emotional intelligence.
Yes.
How does that tie into all of this?
Well, emotional intelligence is basically the ability to understand and manage our own emotions.
Oh.
And to empathize with the emotions of others.
Got it.
And when we practice the Stoic art of delay, we're essentially honing those very skills.
So it's like we're becoming more attuned to the nuances of our own emotional landscape and the emotional landscapes of those around us.
And how they all interact.
Yeah, it's like a whole new level of awareness.
It is.
This is all starting to make a lot of sense. But how does this apply to the listener's life?
Right.
How can they start incorporating these practices into their daily routines, their relationships?
Well, that's a great question. And it's one that we're going to explore further in the last part of our deep dive.
All right.
We'll get into some specific examples.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. But for now, I'd like to leave our listener with this thought.
Okay.
Reflect on your own experiences and ask yourself, where in my life could a little bit of delay, a moment of pause, make a significant difference?
That's a powerful question.
Yeah.
It's not about overhauling your entire life overnight.
Right.
It's about identifying that one specific area where a little delay could have a ripple effect.
I love it.
So that's something for our listeners to ponder as we head into the final part of our deep dive. Okay, so we've been talking about this whole idea of like the Stoic art of delay.
Right.
How pausing instead of like instantly reacting can actually be this powerful tool for navigating life.
It's a game changer.
And it seems like it's not just about, you know, making better decisions.
Right.
But it's about cultivating a whole different way of being.
Totally.
It's almost like a shift in perspective, right?
It really is. Yeah. Stoic way talks about how it's a path towards greater calm, clarity, resilience, you know, even emotional intelligence.
So it's about moving from that feeling of constantly being swept along by circumstances.
Reacting.
To a place of like more grounded intentionality.
Yes.
Okay, so we've talked about the what and the why of delay, the principles, the potential benefits.
Okay.
But for our listener who's ready to like put this into action, let's get to the how can we actually integrate this Stoic art of delay into our daily lives?
Right.
What are some concrete examples?
Well, let's start with a scenario that I think a lot of us can relate to.
Okay.
You know, you get that email from a colleague.
Ooh, yeah.
Maybe it's a little critical, or it just rubs you the wrong way.
Yeah. You know that one.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
That makes your blood pressure spike.
Right. And your immediate impulse is to just fire back a defensive reply.
Oh, totally. Like I can practically feel my fingers typing before I've even finished reading the email.
Exactly. And that's that reactive mode taking over.
Yeah.
But what if, instead of hitting send immediately, you take a deliberate pause.
Okay.
Step away from the computer. Go for a walk. Give yourself some time to cool down.
So it's not about like suppressing the emotion. It's about changing how we respond to it.
Exactly.
Okay.
When you come back to that email with a clearer head, you might find that your initial reaction was totally off base.
Right. Or maybe a phone call would be more effective than a written response.
Right. The key is that pause allows for a more conscious choice.
It's like creating that space for wisdom to kind of emerge.
Yes, exactly.
And this could apply to personal relationships too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially during disagreements.
Yeah.
Imagine you're having like a heated argument with your partner.
Okay.
Things are escalating. You're both about to say things that you'll regret.
All right.
Instead of letting it spiral.
Yeah.
What if you agreed to a timeout?
Interesting.
Go to separate rooms. Take some time to calm down.
Okay.
Reflect on what's really important.
It's like hitting the pause button in the fight so you can actually hear each other again.
Exactly. And then when you come back together, you can approach the conversation from a more understanding and compassionate place.
Yeah. So you're not trying
to win the argument.
In the argument.
You're trying to find a solution that works for both of you.
Right.
Right.
And this reminds me of something that Stoic way emphasized.
Yeah.
Delay isn't about passivity.
Right.
It's not about avoiding conflict altogether. It's about choosing the right time and the right way to engage.
That's so important.
Yeah.
And it applies to things like impulse purchases, too.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You know, we're bombarded with all these ads.
Right.
Limited time offer.
Yeah, buy it now.
Buy it now, exactly.
Tempting
us to buy things we don't even need.
Right.
But what if instead of clicking buy now,
right,
we practice a little delay?
Okay, so give ourselves a day or two to think it over.
Exactly.
Ask ourselves, do I really need this?
Right.
Will it truly add value to my life?
And a lot of times that impulse will fade.
Okay.
And we can make a more conscious decision.
So we're not ruled by that initial emotional urge.
It's about aligning our actions with our values.
I love that.
Yeah.
These are such great examples.
I'm glad you think so.
I'm already starting to see how these seemingly small shifts in behavior can have this huge impact on our well-being overall.
And that's the beauty of the Stoic art of delay, you know? It's not about becoming some emotionless robot.
Right.
It's about becoming more aware, more intentional.
Yeah.
And ultimately, more in control of our own lives.
And who wouldn't want a little more of that?
Exactly.
Especially in today's world.
Especially these days.
So for our listener who's ready to embark on this journey of incorporating more stoicism, more intentional delay into their life, what's the first step? What's that one thing they can do right now?
Well, I would encourage them to just reflect on what we've talked about today and ask themselves, what is one area of my life where hitting that pause button, creating that space for thoughtful action could make the biggest difference?
That's such a powerful question because it's not about
doing everything at once.
Overhauling your entire life overnight.
Right. It's about just picking one thing.
It's about identifying that one specific area where a little delay could have this ripple effect.
I love that.
Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive into the Stoic art of delay, any final thoughts for our listener?
Yeah, I would just say as you start experimenting with these Stoic practices, remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Okay.
You know, there will be times when you fall back into old patterns.
Right.
And that's okay.
We're all human.
We are all human. Exactly.
Yeah.
The key is to keep practicing, keep refining, and just keep moving towards that vision of a life lived with more intention, wisdom, and grace.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
And for our listener who wants to dive even deeper into this world of Stoic wisdom, where should they go?
Well, we highly recommend checking out Stoic Way. They've got tons of great resources on this topic.
Awesome. We'll be sure to include a link in the show notes.
Yes.
Perfect. And with that, we wrap up our deep dive into the Stoic art of delay.
Right.
We hope you found this exploration insightful and empowering.
Yes, me too.
Remember, the power to create a more fulfilling life lies within each of us. It does.
Until next time, be well and keep seeking wisdom.